The old Temple post office, what was erected in 1876. Monument of Jack Hoey, a black shearer. Seems to be a champion of the old time. We just arrived at Longreach, and here the Stockman's Hall of Fame. Loop nu maar naar binnen, lief. We are now in the Hall of Fame, and this is one of the original caves. The light is a little bit dim. Let's hope it comes out. All this you see, the last 3 or 4 frames, is all from the 1860s. Pens for sheep in the olden days. Various computers are around the area, as you can look up certain events happening in the last few hundred years. The man and the campfire.
There can be 100 in the water bag at noon and a block of ice at midnight.
The general store.
The gator I have ever seen. He came up to within 10 yards of me, and he stopped and looked at me and appeared to say to himself, I have got you where I want you. I knew what he was going to do. I was told about it when I was a little boy. He cleaned his teeth out with one of his big paws, and then he came on to within 7 feet of me. He made a quick rustle and a rattle and swung his big tail around at me. By that time, I was down to my waist in quicksand, so I ducked my head and grabbed his tail in both hands. He got such a fright that he pulled me right onto the solid ground.
They came, old and rolling stock, that would not fixed abide. They were the sons of field and flock, since ere they learned to ride. We may not hope to see such men in these degenerate years as those explorers of the bush, the brave old.
Tex Morton, famous rodeo man. The race meeting in the olden days. This is a view from the Stock Hall of Fame through one of the windows outside.
This is no place for the faint-hearted. A rough rider must meet the challenge of a fighting beast, whose one aim is to toss him off. The rider needs nerves of steel, great strength, and lightning reflexes, as he clings on for grim life. The skill and bravery of the rough rider has always attracted them, no doubt. In 1906, he
No, right.
between
The ones ready for the market have got to be cut out of the gym. So the ringers ride into the middle of the grazing bog, nice and quiet, pick the bullocks they want, and gradually work to the outside. If one of them tries to turn back, quick as a flash, the horse is on the flanks and gets it moving over the small. Then that herd gets driven to the station, where the trucks are waiting to take them to market. So the stock horse has got to be good at the cattle. Job's to keep them all together, right? And if there's a runaway car, well, you've got to catch it, turn it, bring it.
A motor picking a stump or something hidden in the grass. Well, you've got to be able to fall the right way. And you've got to be able to flick the bike around fast if a beast has a go at you. If you're out with cattle, those horns can look pretty big and sharp from where we are. On a bike, you're at eye level, remember, not up high like you're on a horse. We use bikes to muster cattle, sheep, brumbies, simply because if the conditions are...
These days, helicopters are being used more and more for mustering on the larger stations. For one thing, a helicopter can get cattle out of rugged country that a horse can't go into. You've got gullies and steep ravines and rocky outcrops on these places. It's beautiful country, but you can't get the cattle out except with a chopper. Then you've got the broad open plains. Well, that's perfect for helicopter mustering too, working in combination with ringers on horses. The helicopter gives you a big advantage, not only in speed, but you can see more clearly and much further.
the Longreach post office, situated very close to Qantas Park. This area was this initially the area where Qantas started and where the first booking office you just saw. After leaving Winton this morning, on our way to MtIsa, we just stopped here in Kainuna, where this particular pub is situated, the Blue Healer. Seems to be very famous for people living in this area, and is also mentioned in the various brochures for people to stop off and have a drink. It is over 100 years old. Trains. Quite a lot of these road trains are traveling along this highway, and you have to really move to the left to let them pass. Well, is seeing if she can shuffle any of the opals. This area, more or less, a little bit more to Winton, is famous for the... This McKinley, made famous through the film Crocodile Dundee. Here we are at the famous pub. We could not film inside because it was too dark. But it is this, the Walkabout Creek Hotel. Much to see really. There's only about 20 people living here during normal time. Buses and coaches are coming here just to see what happened and where it happened on the film Crocodile Dundee. This is John Vale Place. You will read all about the various items in the magazines about it. He was one of the famous people here in Cloncurry. This John Flynn. Also here in Cloncurry was the establishment and the foundation of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. On its way to the Central of Australia. Aeroplane built by Qantas, in which they started the Flying Doctor Service. Doctor's visit in Kainuna. Sense of the old days. These are all pictures in the Flynn Museum. The early days of MtIsa. The claim. The Camel Man. The old. On the right, the new. This is the grave of Reverend Flynn in Alice Spring. McKay, flying doctor service. Between Cloncurry and MtIsa, you find the Burke and Wills Memorial along the main road. We are here in MtIsa, in the Burke and Wills Motel. And as you can see, some of the units got special facades. A little bit of the old style is the grill, number 37. This is the main highway coming into MtIsa. The smoking stack of the copper mine of MtIsa with the red and white bands. And this is what we're going to do this afternoon.
To the size of Switzerland to look after, so there's quite a bit of room for expansion. The river we're about to cross is the Leichhardt River. It flows periodically during the year, usually during the months of December and January. That's when we get our wet period. If we don't get a wet then, we usually don't get one at all, and our average annual rainfall is only 14 inches. If the building looks like an old church, that's because it is. It was the grounds of St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School. When they relocated,
MtIsa Mines, a subsidiary of MIM Holdings, is one of the largest underground mines in the world. The mine has an underground workforce of over 1,600 people from many trades and professions who combine their skills to recover the mineral ores. Continuous shifts keep the mine operating 24 hours a day. Cages or lifts travel up and down the surface shafts, carrying hundreds of miners to and from different parts of MtIsa's mineral ore bodies. It's drill at different levels at the same time, penetrating a large mass of the copper ore body. Rods are added to the drill, enabling the machine to bore holes up to 30 meters deep. A series of holes is drilled in a radial pattern or ring, which has been drawn up by geologists and mining engineers. Explosive material is loaded under pressure into each hole until the ring to be blasted is fully charged. When all the levels have been drilled and charged, the area is vacated and the drill rings exploded almost simultaneously. up to 1 million tons may be blasted at one time. Load haul dump vehicles move in to extract the ore from the draw points. Through a series of holes up to 4 meters deep into the ore body. When the required number of holes has been drilled, they are charged with explosives and blasted. The ore falls to the floor and is removed by a load haul dump unit. The back or roof of the newly blasted section is rock bolted for safety. Then drilling, charging and blasting is repeated until the length of the ore body has been mined. The ore is taken to a pass connected to the train system. Wet fill made up of tailings from the ore treatment plant on the surface is run in to replace the ore which has been removed. Mining now begins on the next level, and the process is repeated, gradually moving up through the ore body. The ore is carried to central tipple areas by a computer-controlled railway system. There are 2 trains running in the lead haulage area and 3 in the copper. Each ore is hoisted up another shaft in 27-ton skips. Conveyor belt systems transport the 2 different ores to their respective storage bins, where they await further crushing. The mine has 16 shafts, most of which are for underground ventilation. 3 carry the miners to and from their workplaces. More than 4,500 people are employed on and below the surface at MtIsa mines. The silver-lead zinc ore is first treated in the heavy-medium plant, controlled by a centralized computer system. Separation screens divide the fine from the coarse ores. The fines go on for processing, while the coarse, gravel-sized pieces are washed, mixed in a dense liquid, and spun in cyclones. The heavy material containing the silver-lead zinc ores spirals downwards, while the waste, being lighter, spins outwards and is collected from the top. The waste rock from the heavy-medium process is stockpiled and returned underground, where, together with other tailings, it is used as fill for the areas that have been mined. The filter plant. The damp zinc concentrate is stockpiled and left in the hot sun to dry. Zinc processing is taken no further at MtIsa. The concentrate is railed to the port of Townsville and shipped to overseas markets. MtIsa Mines is one of the largest producers of zinc concentrate in the world. The lead concentrate is smelted into crude lead containing silver. In the center machine, lead sulfide is ignited from the bottom of the bed, and as hot air passes up through the center, the sulfur is burned off, leaving lead oxide. The lead oxide is mixed with coke and goes into a blast furnace where the oxygen is reduced. At all stages of processing, waste gases are cooled and cleaned before emission into the atmosphere. As gases flow through the stack, their quality is constantly monitored.
You still got a block filter on the new one?
After smelting in the blast furnaces, the crude lead is tapped into a settler. The slag or waste flows from the top, while the lead flows under a weir to a pot below. The crude lead, made up of 99.4% lead and more than 2,500 grams of silver per ton, is cast into 4-ton ingots in water-cooled molds, where hot air ignites and burns off most of the sulfur, leaving a copper calcine. waste or slag floats to the top, while the copper matte containing 44% copper settles to the bottom and is tapped. Huge steel ladles transfer the copper matte to the converter line. A silica flux is added to form an iron slag which is poured off. Air is blown into the converter and joins with most of the remaining sulfur to form sulfur dioxide, leaving 99% pure blister copper. From the converters, the copper goes to the anode furnaces, where final traces of sulfur are removed. Gas flames keep the copper from oxidizing as it flows down to the casting wheel and into the molds, where it is formed into anode shapes. As the molten anodes pass through an automated cooling system, they solidify into hard copper of 99.7% purity. Radio sound balloons are released daily to transmit data from above the city and surrounding countryside. At strategic locations, scientific instruments monitor wind movements, atmospheric stability, and air quality. At the Air Quality Control Centre, meteorologists assess the information to ensure that gas emissions remain within Australian Pollution Council standards. And if there is the possibility of emissions affecting the city, smelting operations are curtailed or stopped immediately. MtIsa is the largest inland city in Australia's tropical north and is the main centre for people from outback stations and small towns far away from southern cities of the coast. People come to MtIsa for business, cultural, social and sporting activities. During the annual MtIsa show, the city is alive with entertainment and social events. Here, Copper Refineries Proprietary Limited further purifies MtIsa's copper and casts it into various forms. Copper Refineries is also a subsidiary of MIM Holdings, whose headquarters are in Brisbane. Copper Refineries is world famous for its tank house electro-refining technology, which is sold to companies overseas. In the tank house, the anodes from MtIsa are lowered into a solution of sulfuric acid and copper sulfate. Sheets of stainless steel, the cathodes, are placed between them. An electric current passes from the anodes to the cathodes, causing the copper molecules to do likewise. As the copper moves across to the stainless steel, most impurities fall to the bottom of the tank. During 7 days in the tanks, copper of 99.99% purity is deposited on the cathodes. After washing, an automatic stripping machine separates the copper cathodes from the stainless steel blanks. Copper refinery sells a large proportion of its cathode copper direct to industry, while the rest is melted in a furnace and made into copper cake, billets and rod. The molten metal runs into a holding furnace ready for the C-core line, a continuous casting, rolling and coiling process for the fabrication of copper rod. Railed direct to the port of Townsville. MtIsa has a long-term contract to supply concentrate to Ruhr Zinc in Germany, a major zinc refinery in which MIM Holdings has a 50% interest. MtIsa's zinc concentrate is also sold to Japan and other customers in Asia and Europe. MtIsa Mines is a leading copper producer for the international market, and ISA cathodes, cake and rod are sold to metal manufacturers throughout Australia. For over 50 years, MtIsa's crude silver lead has been shipped to Britannia Refined Metals in the United Kingdom. The company is a wholly owned subsidiary of MIM Holdings and is one of Europe's major and most modern silver and lead refiners. MtIsa's 4-ton crude lead ingots are also sold in Asia. Throughout the world, MtIsa's copper, silver, lead and zinc are fabricated into metal products. Today, new uses are still being found for metals discovered thousands of years ago. Since ancient times, copper has been alloyed with zinc and fabricated into brass products. Most coins are made from copper or alloys of copper. Copper, one of the best conductors of heat, is made into solar collectors and heat exchange systems. Silver, traditionally used in jewelry and decorative pieces, is now used in the latest electronic technology. And it's the silver in the light-sensitive coating on film that makes photography possible. Lead's principal use is in the plates of storage batteries. The keels of yachts are cast in lead, and copper, which resists corrosion, is used in marine fittings. Zinc is mainly used as a protective coating for steel, while zinc sheet is manufactured into many forms for building materials. For centuries, roofing, guttering and downpipes have been made from copper. As an excellent conductor of electricity, copper is used in all forms of electrical work, from domestic wiring to heavy-duty cables.
Wide and 1.24 kilometres deep. They go down 21 levels, virtually beneath us now. You'll see a cone-shaped structure on that small ridge there. That's one of our 12 upcast fans. You can see the exhaust air. They have the capacitor underground every 8 minutes. The area we're about to enter is what was MtIsa proper. The roundabout was called King's Cross. The building in front of us No soliciting here. The building in front of us was the fire brigade building. The one on the right was the iceworks, and the road down to the left is where all the houses, shops and hospitals were located. They've all been moved now for future development of the mine. The conveyor belt on the left, that's carrying a very... The building on the right, building of these on the left was our community store. The only store on mine site. It was owned and run by MtIsa Mines for the benefit of the men and their families. The wives could simply turn up there and charge anything they liked to their husband's pay number. And so we found a very rich, fine-grade copper ore deposit underneath the mine manager's building. So we had him relocated, and what you're left with is this huge hole in the ground. That's what's left of our open-cut mine. Open-cut mining here was the end that it drops around 500 feet. We pulled out 3.5 million tonnes of fine-grade of the land. It's also what made us one of the safest underground mines in the world, because there's no downward pressure at any one point. It's all outward pressure on the walls. The car park down to the left is the underground workers' car park. We have around 2,000 men working underground, 1,000 in day shift, 600 in afternoon shift, and 400 in night shift. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on a continuous shift roster. They get only 3 public holidays a year: Christmas Day, Easter Monday and Labour Day. But they do get 6 weeks holiday a year, and their airfares paid to and from Brisbane once a year for themselves, their wives and their families. The building on the right is the mine office. You may notice the copper guttering and downpipes. That's just good advertising for us so that you don't forget that we mine copper. The mine gate to us, you notice that they have no tread on them. What we found is that the hard, sharp rocks underground get caught in the tread and shear it off. So what we use is a rubber slick. The slit that you can see in the side is called a depth gauge. That's so that we can see how much rubber is left on the tyres. We found that this method extends the life of the tyres by 3 times as long. 4 of those tyres go onto a front-end loader. Each one costs around $6,000 and they last 3 weeks. Okay, I'll move a little bit further forward. Have a look at the hill. It then goes by another conveyor belt to a crusher building which is on the top of the hill behind us. That crushes the ore down to gravel size. It then goes to the heavy medium plant that we saw on the other side of the road, and then the good ore-bearing rock comes back to this side of the road to the concentrator building. Level underground, there's a crushing station which crushes the ore down to a size that can fit into these bins. It's then hoisted to the surface here, air belt, where it comes up over there behind us. You can now see your crusher building, over to your heavy medium plant and back to your concentrator building. But if you watch that right hand thing, we should see a skip come to the surface. Here it comes now. There we go. Okay, the bottom of it will open up toward you. There we go. That just dropped 28 tonne of silver lead zinc ore. We hoist here at a rate of 800 tonne per hour. While this one was dropping its load at the top, the one on the bottom was being loaded, and they change places every 1 minute, 40 seconds. Now, our ore bodies here at MtIsa are fairly unique in that our silver lead zinc deposits are all up the northern end of the mine. Our copper ore bodies are down the southern end of the mine, which is down behind us. They come within 3 feet of each other and never touch. That means that we can mine, hoist and treat our 2 ore bodies separately. So at this shaft we hoist just the silver lead zinc, not the copper. Now it's in our flotation process that we're able to separate the silver lead from the zinc, and we get 2 separate concentrates. They then come here to these tanks on the right, which are thickeners, and they're used to thicken the concentrate. The ones closest to us are zinc, the ones further down are the silver lead. These are now treated separately. The zinc goes to the zinc dewatering plant and the silver lead to the lead smelter. Now, As I stated earlier, the copper ore bodies are down the southern end of the mine, but they are brought up at underground level to this point here on the right. This is our U62 copper haulage shaft. You can see it's a similar shape to the one below, and it works the same way. We have skips or ore bins, which come to the surface. They then drop 30 tonne of copper ore, and we hoist here at a rate of 1,000 tonne per hour, which is the building below it, on the hemisphere. If you've ever seen it from across town, you'll see that the pipe actually protrudes out the top. So the concrete structure is simply a windbreak for that stainless steel pipe. Now the stack was poured in one single concrete pour with a movable framework, and because the curing temperature of concrete is around 32 degrees Celsius, and our average temperature at the time was around 42 degrees Celsius, we had to pack it with party ice to keep it cool enough. The building on the left is the crusher building, then the concentrator building. More interesting though is this stockpile of black material to deal with our purchased ore. Within a 200-kilometre radius of MtIsa, there are smaller privately owned mines where men called gougers gouge out the copper ore, bring it back to MtIsa where it's assayed, and they're paid on the assayed value of that ore. The pile of rock on the left is silica. It's used to suppress the copper to the bottom of the smelter so that the waste products can be removed off the top. The green rock here at the end, that's gouger copper. It's been brought in from... Now, we do try to recycle as much of our water as possible. It's not until water is so totally polluted that we can't use it for anything that it ends up here in this pond. With our high evaporation rate in MtIsa of 106 inches per year, it's not going to take very long for that little bit of water to evaporate off. And then we're left with solid minerals and salts, and we can deal with those as salts. Out of this mine, and we estimate that there's about another 10 years supply. Material. It's a very hard rock called siltstone, and we use it in our fill program underground. All the machinery that you see around here is electrically operated, so you'll see what look like extension cords running around the place. These little mounds on the top of the bench on the right are charge holes, 16 metres deep, 1 foot across, and those ones have been charged with explosives ready to blast. So the depth of the bench is 16 metres. Now, to understand our fill program, you have to understand our mining program. The easiest way to do that is to consider the entire mine as a chessboard. And what we do is we go in and mine out independent black squares on that board. And what you're left with is a huge hole in the ground called a stope. And a stope can be equivalent in size to about half the size of that first open cut that we saw. Now, we can't leave the hole there. We have to do something with it to stabilise the ground. So we take the larger pieces of siltstone and pour it down a 3,000-foot ore pass where it can then be taken out and taken to the various areas that need to be filled. But this rock alone is not enough to do it. We also take a tailings or waste product from our concentrators and mix it with 3% concrete. We pour that down as a wet fill so that it moves between the rock, and 18 months later, it's stable enough for us to come back and mine the whites. Once the water evaporates off, what you're left with is a virtual dust bowl. Absolutely nothing can grow on raw tailings. But we don't leave it like that. We take the smaller pieces of siltstone and mix it with a waste material from our powerhouse, where we burn coal and get a fly ash. We pour the siltstone and the fly ash over the tailings to a depth of 2 metres. And what you have then is an environment conducive to growth. If you've ever wondered what a revegetated plot looks like, that's one on the left. That plot there is 10 years left to nature. Because it was a trial plot, we have a lot of different trees in there to see which ones could survive on their own. What you may notice is that the trees are very small. Another thing you'll notice though is that there are no tall trees anywhere in the district. It's purely due to our low rainfall levels. So there's not much use trying to put a rainforest in there because it's just not going to grow area. The very first building is the Diesel Underground Equipment Workshop. Just take note of the size of it. We have a workshop down on 17 level underground, the same size as that building, where all the day-to-day maintenance is done on our underground equipment. It's not until a vehicle is virtually written off that it's brought here to the surface to be worked on in this workshop, where it's rebuilt from scratch. Some of these pieces of equipment can cost up to $500,000. We can rebuild them for a quarter. Roads get washed out along with our railway lines. So we do try to keep a reasonable amount on supply as possible, and those warehouses supply the entire line list. All these surface vehicles you've seen driving around us, some of them are parked there. It doesn't deal with any underground equipment, it's purely surface. And we're at the back of, inside that is over $20,000 worth of silver. If you just look behind you, see that truck's being loaded with a black material. Can everyone see that? That's the lead slag. That's going to be taken out the back and added to that huge stockpile out the back. But these ingots, we straight out of their moulds, they're then dipped into a water bath, which cools them so that they can be taken over and stockpiled at the other end.
Do you see the flames?
Yeah.
Do you want me to move back a little?
$80 a tonne. There's a lot of money sitting outside your coach. It's going to be railed using the concrete tankers and other forms, or sent by road on the back of semi-trailers to Townsville, to our electrolytic refinery. You'd have seen the process in the film where the anode is placed into a mild solution of sulfuric acid. A stainless steel cathode is placed between it, and electric current passes through the solution. It causes the copper to move from the anode to the cathode. These anodes are around 95.8% copper. They're made of copper. They've been painted with a white aluminium-based powder to stop the anode sticking to the mould. But you'll notice inside these ones, they're very cracked and distorted. This means that it's too difficult to remove the anode from the mould. So these ones are no good. But because they're made of copper, all we do is put them back into the furnace, melt them down, and make new moulds. Millions of years ago, and it's buckled and faulted to this angle. This is from MtIsa Mines and Australian Airlines rebuilt it, and it now stands there as a memorial to the Royal Flying Doctor Service. City. And I'd just like to thank those who are getting off.
After leaving MtIsa this morning at 6:30, we are here now in Richmond on the Flinders Highway, approximately 400 kilometers from MtIsa, on our way to Charter Towers. We stopped here at 11:30 to have a bite to eat and drink. In this park where we stopped, donated by the Lions Mill, as a little rest, some chocolate, milk, before we go on. Old relic of World War II, I presume. And in the background, coming closer now, I don't know what, but it looks quite effective. We arrived yesterday in Cairns, and this morning we are on the way to Mossman, and then on the way back we have a look at Port Douglas. This is roughly halfway, and you can have a good idea of part of the beaches here and the mountain ranges you see here. Port Douglas at the lookout, the highest point, then overlooking the beaches and ranges towards Cairns. The sea is very smooth, the sun is very hot, and there is no wind.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. My name is Anne and I'm your commentary hostess for the Upward Journey. On behalf of the Great Northern Railroad Company, I would like to welcome you aboard the commentary train. The other hostesses on the train today are Claire and Karen. This service is being provided by a company called Destination Projects, which work in cooperation with the Queensland Railways. Many of our pioneers are laid to rest there. Most were victims of the 1881 bubonic plague and malaria epidemic. This section took 17 months to complete. The second section was from Red Lynch to Myola, which is a little beyond Kuranda, with a distance of 15 miles. The next road on the left of the train takes you through to Edge Hill, a very beautiful suburb of homes built on the hillside. Edge Hill also houses botanical gardens, which were established in 1880. Beyond our general aviation airport to the right is our international airport, which opened on the 31st of March 1984. Connection. On behalf of the Great Northern Railroad Company, I would like to welcome you aboard the commentary train. My name is Anne and I am your commentary. Use up to 40 tons. After being harvested, the cane is transported to the mills, where 7 tons of cane are required to produce 1 ton of sugar. The valley away to your left is called the Freshwater Valley, and is one of the richest. It's a nice grove. The Whitfield Range. Just below us is the small township of Red Lynch, which we passed. Gardens are famous today. Now that it isn't manned, however, it is difficult to keep these gardens.
The falls are 6 meters. Yeah, gee, they're high. Oh, sure, that's all right. You see? I can't remember this at all. I can remember the water was so calm yesterday from the ocean. Yes. It was very calm.
Falls. Barren Falls, without water. Go ahead.
If you enjoyed the trip and that you have a better understand, I shall bid you farewell and hope you have a very pleasant afternoon.
Kanunda, het huis van Len en zus Noden.
Maar Kees heeft die boek gekregen van die vent die tegenover kon wonen. Ik ben gisteren naar de zaak gegaan te vragen hoeveel het kost en dat kwam niet over bro. Is his name Jerry? Yeah, that's his nickname.
At the Big Peanut. On our way to our luncheon at Central Lake. We have a few drops of rain here, the first since our arrival in Cairns 3 days ago.
I don't know anymore how to do the flesh.
You don't need the flesh, Mom.
I don't need it, okay.
No.
That's nice.
A strangling fig tree, 700 years old.
Fire.
Oh, I bet that battery is gone. This lake has been formed after an eruption of the volcano many thousands years ago, and is approximately 65 meters deep. We stayed the night in Bowen, in the Whitsunday Sands Motel of the Best Western. And this is the view from our unit. This morning early, we saw already 2 wild falcons, and they came right up to the door so we could feed them. And later on we had a kookaburra who caught some living thing and was smashing it on the rock, and then he ate it. Besides the tropical growth, we also had enormous deposits of big stones, as you can see here. From ICI. The brine in this area is 2.5 times as salt content as Maryborough. We are on our way to Terra Nora for our first long stop. Highway in Maryborough, just behind me, but you can't see because of the sun, is the Bruce Highway Motel in Maryborough. Here in Wamuran, just past Caboolture, about 50 kilometers from Brisbane, looking at the glass mountain in the background. The idea of the visit was really the house we're standing in front of, because that is the prize money in the lottery what will be drawn on the 16th. On Saturday, the 10th of March, we reached our long stop destination, Terra Nora Country Club. And this is the view from our balcony. Towards the Tweed Valley. Just outside our unit, a beautiful view of the mountains, and particularly Glass House Mountain. View of our unit.
Clear blue. For 3 days we have this already, or today is the 4th day.
Yeah.
No cloud at all.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sunshine one day, perfect the next.
You wouldn't have said that last week.
Now we got our first.
We are now at the property of Mika and David Simon in Papana. A good side view of the house. Entrance of the house.
Myron? How many times do I tell you? Don't play with women. They're no good for your eyesight. Now come over here and join the men. Yes, Myron. Around the corner. Outside the wash. And how's this for brave and manly? This must be the boss lady, the pirate queen, riding a swivel ski, I see. Very difficult. Why is the enemy always so talented? It's not fair. Look at that, one hand, one leg spinning around and smiling. Hey, look at this, skiing with no hands. Why, my men can't do that. Now that's water skiing. All right, girls, I'm warming up. He's okay. Wait, it's Liam, the human fire extinguisher. Hurry! Oh, he's done it! He's put the flames out! He saved the cone! And now, we get the pirate ladies. Come here. You got... And don't get captured! Wow! Where did he learn that? Why, that's quite nice, really. But it's wrong. I will not work with women. They're our enemies. It's in the rule book. Oh no! They
Construction is a messy business. Let's have a happy ending. Let's join forces and hunt for the treasure together! Yeah!
Yes, I see your point.
And a very sharp point it is too.
Starting over in America at the moment, and it's due for release on Channel 9 halfway through this year. To our right is SeaWorld's Nara Resort, the 4-star resort, which is linked.
The biggest water slide in the southern hemisphere.
And we'll see more of Sandy and away! And a big splash to go with it. Susie's girlfriends down below deck are Athena and Stormy with a friendly flicker shake. Jeff Murphy's dolphin family are Scooter and Gemma. They're two sisters. And the dolphin popping up on your far-hand right-hand side, that will be Gemma. She's 18 months old, still a baby, and is now learning the shows here at SeaWorld. So keep your eyes on Gemma. Every now and then you'll see her trying to join in with all the fun. Scooter is her big sister. She's about 8 years old, and their mum is Splash. She's just by the Dockside Tavern with their latest sister, and I forgot the name of that one. What's the name there, Jeff? Coco. Something like that, yes. And over there throughout the day, you'll see Splash and our let loose baby dolphin. I'll untie my tongue and we'll give you a round of applause dolphin style. Here's how we do it. A bit of tail lobbing all around. That's an original. I didn't do it on purpose. Back to the drawing board on that one. Not to worry. Sound is a major sense of a dolphin, they rely on sound quite heavily. They communicate with sound in their own language, and they also use sound in another remarkable fashion, something called echolocation. Now, dolphins never sleep. They are awake 24 hours a day. They have to be to tell themselves to breathe. So with that in mind, picture the scene of a dolphin down at the bottom of the ocean at 2 in the morning. How does she find fish? How does she navigate her way around in the darkness? It's not a trick. It is a display of the most complex system of sound known to modern man. 2 rings, looking good. Now, Athena cannot see an inch in front of her face, but using signals of sound waves, she's able to navigate her way around the bed on our lagoon and find her way back to the boat. Safe and sound. Looking good. Right on home. Ladies and gentlemen, that really is something else. Echolocation. Athena. That is something. No fish fingers for Sandy that time around. Other one sounds a little bit different too. Down here, Scooter and Gemma. Have a listen to Scooter. She's very talkative, and Gemma is now getting the idea of talking into a microphone. Let's see how we go. That's the girl. A little bit every day is how we do things like this. We're right across the lagoon. Now, Sandy has a rope she has to get over to the chain fence. We then go to ask our dolphins to jump the rope. It sounds easy, but it takes us about 4.5 months of hard work. To train a behaviour like this, we first of all have the rope resting in the water, like we're going to see in a moment's time. After a few days, we gradually raise the rope inch by inch until we get the result you're about to see. After 4.5 months, we eventually have dolphins jumping right over the rope. Now, all of these animals are fully grown except for Gemma. They weigh around 170 kilos, and they can move at a speed of 30 miles an hour. They really are strong creatures. Let's bring our family up out of the water and onto the stage. And Sammy's helping hand over there from young Joe and Luana, looking good. What you're about to see, ladies and gentlemen, are dolphins, not porpoises. People tend to call them the same thing. As you can see, the dolphins have a pointed beak, or a rostrum. Now, porpoises usually have a round face, and are normally found above the equator, in the northern hemisphere. So feel assured at least 90% of the time, on Australasian waters, you should only ever sight dolphins. Very rarely, if never, will you ever sight a porpoise off our coast. That's a fact. All right, the rope's in place, I'll count to 4, and we will have dolphins over the rope. And watch how carefully they come back in this direction. They're on the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're coming home. And there it is, taking place. Now, dolphins are. But we can do it through the anesthetic in a tight little fist. We're going to try a double dorsal bone. That means holding onto the dorsal fin on the back of the dolphin and taking a quick line across the lagoon. Sandy treads water out there nice and patiently. That's the way, Sandy. 1 dolphin's arrived, 2 looking good. Hold on tight, and here she is. And as fast as the force. Dribbling dolphin style. That's the way, girls. And the good thing about the dolphins is when they finish playing, they bring the ball and slide on back to the stage. Dolphins have now inhabited the Earth for over 50 million years. That's a long time. And now you might be wondering, why teach a dolphin to paint? That's a good question. But nobody knows when the dolphins see colour. That's a mystery. We don't really expect to get the answer, but you never know your luck. At the same time, we get to have a bit of fun with our dolphins. If you watch Donna very carefully, every now and then she rewards a dolphin with a fish. Once again, we are always encouraging our dolphins to achieve. It's important to remember also that dolphins are not fish, despite what some people might tell you. They're mammals just like us. They breathe air, they're warm-blooded, but next to a human being, the dolphin has the largest brain in the world in relation to body size.
now to meet the very girl of your dreams, Barbara Ann.
Hi, what's up? This is my blind date.
Isn't she gorgeous?
Well, she's different.
Oh, but she may be different, but she is a fantastic little kisser. What's this? Blow on me, sweetheart.
Wow, she is passionate. But Michael, she's all furry, and she's wearing essence of mullet perfume. Can I have a kiss?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not your type.
No, you're not my type, not you, Barbara Ann.
Wait a minute, I'll ask her. Hey, Barbara Ann, how about a big kiss for young Warren here?
What did she say?
No.
No?
No, she wants someone that's got whiskers, a big thick fur coat, and long flat flippers.
Flippers and whiskers. I know, just the guy.
No, not me, guys. Up there on top of the roof.
Look up there, it's here. And he's heading for the water slide.
He certainly is. And boy, is he smoking.
Also, here.
All right, what's up his billabong?
Hang ten, Warren. I'll go find out.
Did you see that? He came down the slide, put the brakes on, and... Stuns?
Not anymore. He found a pair of black skin-tight Speedos and he's just slipped them on.
Well, Speedo's a cool term, but come on out and let's party.
All right, then. Come on, Kelly. Check out Barbara.
Ooh. He's whistling at my girl.
Uh-oh. Listen to that. Look, on the roof it's Bondi Benny.
Not another one. Uh-oh. He's not gonna stop. All right, guys, this has really gone far enough. I came down here for a blind date. You know, blonde hair, blue eyes, bikini. What's he doing kissing my girl? And who is this Bendy Bondi anyway?
You've never heard of Bondi Benny. He is a super surfer, a cool kisser, and a spunky shot.
Oh, the gang from the club will be surfing and stomping too.
This is great. I love the beach. I love dancing. I don't love my blind date. Michael, I really appreciate what you've done, but Barbara Ann and I are not the perfect match. I have an idea. Why doesn't Benny take her out instead?
I'm really used to kissing guys that look like that, right? Yeah, okay now. Just step on over to Benny, put your left arm around his neck, and he'll give you a nice big kiss on the cheek. So go right ahead. Hey, not too bad. Now, Jackie, between 1 and 10, how good a kisser was he? A 9. Hey, that's pretty good. Benny, was Jackie a good kisser? Folks, put your hands together for Jackie for helping us out. Well done. Hey, Benny. Forward cut here. Nope. Let's go.
Yo, Mitchell!
What?
You guys are cheating over there.
Whoa, Kahi, you're never going to get a date if you keep fooling around like that. Let's see you wave goodbye. It's back to the other side with you. Who won the date, guys?
Thank you, Mitchell, and thank you to Jackie and Linda for helping us with our contest this afternoon. Well, it's pretty obvious, despite your effort to cheat and buy presents, the winner of the very cool Bondi Benny. Good luck next time, mate. From Michael, Ben, Mitchell, and myself, we'll see you next time we're on the beach. But don't go away, because we're coming right back with more of our SeaWorld family in about 2 minutes, as you can see. This guy's name is Chip. Now, side 44 rather large teeth, as you can see. But funnily enough, whales and dolphins don't chew their fish. The teeth are there to catch the... Without a doubt, we've both had lots to learn, had to give a kind of friend I had in mind. We are the best of mates. You're the best of mates. 'Cause we are the best of mates. You and me on land and sea. The best of mates. Keep your cameras handy once more. Squirt's going to hit the ball on your left-hand side. Now, this will also give you an idea of just how good her eyesight is. We'll give you a countdown of 3 for this one. She pops up for a breath of air right over there, and then accelerates towards the ball. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Missed it by a mile. What are you doing, Squirt? Wait a second. Aha. We'll bring Squirt back into the stage. They might try that one again. I think it may be a bit of a difference here because Squirt is quite used to having one of our other whales do this behaviour at the same time. Now that may be what it is. We'll try once more. It's all true. Here we go. One more time. Second time, Lucky. Yep.
This is also taken on top of the oasis at the station.
Station with further access to the Oasis Shopping Resort, the Broadbeach Tavern and the beach. Gentlemen, the next stop is Jupiter's Casino Station. Casino Station. If you are leaving us to try your luck in the casino, we wish you good luck.
Så vi byter oss en check om vi ikke bløter.
We are standing now at the Jupiter Hotel monorail station. We just finished in the hotel and had a nice lunch. It's very beautifully furnished as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now approaching the Pan Pacific Station. This is the main station for the Oasis on Broadbeach Shopping Resort with over 100 specialty shops. There is also access to the Pan Pacific.
Driving back from Broadbeach, the Oasis, to Terra Nora, we pass this play castle for the children on one of the hills. At the moment it is closed and is only open on the weekends. Along the beaches, this behind the main road, goes along the beaches, and the maximum you can drive here is 40 kilometers an hour. This is a row of units where we are staying at Terra Nora Lakes Resort. Emil is just walking down to our unit number 4 on the ground floor. You cannot see that very proper due to the little stairways going to the second floor. But you can see the top of her head just moving down as she goes. This is a close-up. Here we are at Cavill Avenue Service Paradise. Previously, it was a straight running from the main road to the beach, but now it is all these restaurants, high-rise buildings. But also some leisure. Playing chess. Looking the other way. Believe it or not. Also a lot of Japanese.
Share his experiences. Today, you can share that experience right here at Ripley's Believe It or Not Auditorium, the only one in Australia. It's a whole world of wonder.
Very windy day, which you can see already on the surf. Across the street, the Victorian. We are on our way to the Chinese garden. We just passing now through Red Hill. This is Jurong. Just got out of this train and I'm walking up now to the Chinese garden.
such busy flowers, you